Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
And welcome to a new episode of The Simpsons Did It. I'm your host, Steven Skolansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
And we're about to get some spookiness going on again.
Yep.
I mean, we're already on the fifth Treehouse of Horror, and it just keeps getting scarier every time.
Yes. Every time the warning is just like, seriously, don't watch these episodes.
I know, and it's gotten even scarier because our normal guests for these episodes kind of merged into 2 people. Yeah. And it's freaking me out to no end. And so this week, you guys will notice that unfortunately our good friend Andy McElfresh couldn't come on. So we invited some other good friends over, Heather and Chris Gast from the Gastlecast, to talk Simpsons. These guys are, to my knowledge, amazing horror fans and love horror movies. So we thought, hey, who better to have on than someone that loves horror? So why don't you guys jump on, Chris and Heather?
Hey, what's happening, guys?
Hi. I'm happy
So I got that right. You guys are, from what I've noticed, you guys are huge into horror.
Oh yeah.
Heather more than I am. I like horror. I'm mainly a like 1980s horror film type of guy, like the old school stuff. I don't like any of the modern horror stuff. Heather loves all that stuff. I'm not totally into all that.
He doesn't give it a chance. That's why.
I do give it a chance. What are you talking about? I give it a chance all the time.
When's the last time you saw?
I can't watch that stupid Annabelle movie. I just won't. There's no way. I'm not watching it.
It's so good.
No, it's not good. By the way, she watched it, and the entire time she was watching it, she was screaming from the other room. I was editing a video, and Heather was going, "Oh my God, what is that?" She was yelling.
So what you watched for this episode, these horror movies are more up your alley then.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And I did understand a couple of them. Like, in other words, I knew where the basis for these episodes were, except for the second one for some reason. I don't know where that episode derived from. So it'll be cool to talk about that and to blow my mind.
Yep, absolutely. And so first question we always ask any new guests that we have on is, as we know, you're not necessarily the biggest Simpson fans, but obviously you're probably as old as us. I'm 39, brother's 33, so you guys are probably
33. Thanks for making me younger.
Yeah, sorry,
35.
Sorry. And so I'm guessing you guys are roughly around the same age as us, right?
Well, I'm your age, and Heather is 32.
Okay, so very close. So you guys grew up in the 90s when The Simpsons first came out. What was your taste of The Simpsons back when you were kids? Did your parents let you watch it, not watch it? Your friends? What kind of atmosphere did you guys grow up with The Simpsons?
So, being as old as I am, and like Simpsons in the early 90s were ridiculously humongous. And my parents allowed me to watch it anytime I wanted. I watched it every Sunday religiously as a kid. I had the T-shirts. I had some of the stuffed toys and stuff like that. So I was heavily into Simpsons as a kid. It wasn't until I think like the late 90s when I finally dropped out. And I don't know why. I don't think it had anything to do with me not liking the show. It was just that I was getting older and doing other things. But I tried to watch an episode in the mid-2000s, and I just couldn't get down with it. It just, I don't know, it just felt far different from what I remembered.
Yeah, they definitely changed the vibe of The Simpsons. Obviously, the writers completely changed over by that time. And so just new writers with new takes on how they wanted to take the characters.
Yeah, and I don't know. It just didn't resonate with me so much. But in the early days, I remember when the show first came out. It started on the Tracy Ullman show?
Yep. That's correct. Yep.
Yeah, I remember seeing like excerpts from that. My dad used to talk about it because I remember when it first came on. He said, "Wow, I remember this from the Tracy Ullman show," and I remember looking at him like I'm like 7 or 8 years old. I'm like, what's Tracy Ullman? But yeah, I remember like a bit of the history of The Simpsons, and I I like the older episodes. Watching this episode sort of, I don't know, reignited the fire of me wanting to watch The Simpsons a little bit more. Because frankly, I went from The Simpsons as, when I got older to Family Guy. And I don't know if a lot of people our age kind of made that transition or not over to Family Guy, because I don't know if you guys remember, but when Family Guy was canceled in the mid 2000s, people revolted. And then it came back. Yeah, so Family Guy was like bigger for me, I think, than The Simpsons, at least in my adult years.
Yeah, I mean, between Family Guy and South Park, I think a lot of our generation really turned towards them. I always had a heart for The Simpsons, and I have watched, all 33 seasons of it. And, every week I'm like, oh, is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? I mean, this past season, there was literally an episode that changed my mind. Like halfway through season 33, I'm like, this is garbage. I'm not liking any of these episodes. And literally one episode just changed my mind on the entire season. And so it's definitely a weird time for that, especially with the political landscape and stuff that they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But Heather, what about you? What's your life with The Simpsons been like?
Okay, so this is sort of all over the place. I grew up watching South Park. That was my rebellious show, I guess. But my dad let me watch it, so it wasn't really rebellious. But for whatever reason, he didn't watch The Simpsons. He watched South Park, so that's what I watched with him.
Okay.
But as I grew up, I started watching a couple episodes here and there, and I really don't remember as much as I should. The most that I remember about The Simpsons is playing Simpsons Hit and Run.
Oh my god!
All right,
about that.
That was like my favorite game. I was obsessed. It was like disgusting how obsessed I was.
It was like the Grand Theft Auto but with Simpsons.
Yes,
it was. Yep.
It was so good.
Yeah, well, if you guys get a chance, that Simpsons arcade cabinet is been discounted heavily at Walmarts around the country. So, if you guys are arcade goers at all and remember the Simpsons arcade game at all,
that thing is... Yeah, so in the middle of Glen Burnie Mall in Glen Burnie, Maryland, there was like 4 cabinets that were sort of connected to each other, and this mall was like I can't really explain it, but let's just call it a dead mall. Like there was virtually no one there toward the end of the days before it was knocked down. But at the time of the Simpsons arcade machine, that mall, I guess at its height, was filled with people. And I remember seeing people always hanging around the Simpsons arcade and also the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, that cabinet as well. Oh, yeah. But I remember playing that Simpsons arcade as a kid, and I remember loving it and wishing that I could go home and play it. And I wondered, did they ever port that to home systems at all?
Yeah, I had it on the PlayStation 3. It was a free download at one point.
Wow. Okay, yeah, because I don't think I ever got that, but I would have loved to have played through that a little bit.
Yeah, see, I was the idiot that when Arcade 1-Up launched the Simpsons arcade cabinet, I'm like, I gotta have this. So I stupidly spent, $700 on this thing. And, I mean, best money ever spent. It's amazing. I love playing it, but apparently it didn't do as well as it hoped, and people were picking it up for like $200 at Walmart on clearance because no one was buying it. So.
Wow. So what's it discounted to now?
About 200 is the lowest I've seen it.
Okay, interesting.
Yep.
Wow.
But I mean, hey, but the cool thing is it has a Wi-Fi feature built in, so you can play with your friends across the entire country.
Nuh-uh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That is so cool. That's
so
like
you could
PlayStation
so all 4
Internet.
Simpsons. Yeah, so all 4 Simpsons characters can be going at one time, and it's all your friends across the country.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I will say there's a arcade bar. There's like arcade bars everywhere, and they have the Simpsons cabinet at this bar. So anytime I go, I have to play it a few times because it's Simpsons. Gotta play
of course,
it.
it's a great game.
So cool.
By the way, when you guys told Heather that the cabinet connected to the internet, it was as if, and Heather's response was as if she just learned what the internet was. It was the biggest wow I think I've ever seen come out of you.
That's so neat.
Yes. Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, so we've been trying to get a few of my friends, huge Simpsons fans in the community, have picked it up. So we're all gonna do probably like a what's that?
A tournament?
Platform? Twitch.
Twitch. Oh, stream.
Like a Twitch stream of it, so everyone can see how it plays and everything.
Can you do a Twitch tournament stream?
I'm sure you
could.
can.
Please.
I'm just not a Twitch like a lot of this new technology like TikTok and Twitch and all this. I just never got into it, so I'd have to like learn how to actually manipulate it and make it function.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I can watch videos on TikTok. I'm very bad at making them. When we recently went on a trip and Chris wanted to make a TikTok, and I'm not kidding you, we almost got divorced and we weren't even to our first destination yet.
You were getting so angry over nothing.
No, I was getting he kept saying, it's so easy. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Oh my God.
This is exactly why I wanted you on our season 5 finale episode. I mean, I know you guys were busy, but it was the title was Secrets of a Successful Marriage.
Oh yeah.
And I did want you on that episode because I'd love to hear the bickering as part of that particular episode. So.
Darn it, Chris.
All right, Robert, why don't you kick us off with this horrific episode?
All right, so as Steve mentioned earlier, about 10 minutes ago, this is Season 6, Episode 6, Treehouse of Horror number 5. As always, they do 3 episodes based on the horror / sci-fi genre.
And I'm sure, Chris and Heather, you probably noticed when you watched the intro, it was still a Halloween special, number 5.
Yes.
It didn't actually have that Treehouse of Horror moniker yet. So far, this is the 5th episode. I can't remember if
this is the last.
The last one. So starting with
6.
Number 6, it'll actually give that moniker Treehouse of Horror.
I thought we were on the wrong episode. I really did when it started playing.
I'll tell you, I didn't even notice any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it didn't say it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really weird, and a lot of people, like, I always made the column, like, why wouldn't Treehouse of Horror start number 6? So Treehouse of Horror 6... I thought it should have started as Treehouse of Horror number 1.
Yeah.
Because to this point, they have yet to actually call it Treehouse of Horror. It was always Simpsons Halloween special.
Yeah. And I believe this is the last episode with the cemetery opening as well.
Oh, that's sad. Those are always fun.
Yeah. This aired October 30th, 1994. So I think we've talked about this. Yeah, we've talked about this in the previous Treehouse of Horror episodes where they always try to air this right around Halloween. I remember as a kid, they never aired it in November until like I think the mid 2000s. They always tried to keep it. It
was always baseball's fault. Major League Baseball screwed it all up because the World Series was on Fox.
Yeah. So our opening sequence this week, we get Marge giving her speech, her warning, and she goes, "Hello, once again, as usual. I must warn you that all that this year's Halloween show is very, very scary, and those of you with young children may want to send them off to bed. Oh my, it seems the show is so scary that Congress won't even let us show it. Instead, they suggested the 1947 classic Glenn Ford movie, 200 Miles to Oregon, which is not a real movie, but they did base this off, I think there's a movie called like 100 Miles to Oregon or something like that. But
I love how they showed the black and white clip of just wagons going.
Yeah,
I honestly thought that was a real movie. I didn't realize it was a fake movie. That's interesting.
Yeah, they've done that. I think they do that quite a bit throughout the Simpsons, where they introduce fake movies. Kind of reminds me of Home Alone with the movie in Home Alone that's not real.
Yes, the guy with the gun.
Yes.
Yep.
Wait, that's not real.
No, that's not a real film. You didn't know that either? No. Oh my God, Heather, you're learning things today.
I'm learning so
That's
much.
right. We're here to teach. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Was there a movie growing up that kind of like Marge's warning that you guys, your parents just were like, it's too scary, you can't watch it?
Yes, The Exorcist.
Okay.
That makes
really?
sense.
Yes, my dad was like, that movie scared the shit out of me as a kid. You can't watch it until you're older. And then I watched it and I was like, what was my dad talking about?
Yeah. No, my parents never told me I couldn't watch. There was nothing that I wasn't allowed to watch. I mean, other than maybe like adult films or something. But when it came to like horror and stuff, I could watch whatever I wanted. I remember watching like the Jason Friday the 13th films before I went to bed, practically.
Well,
that sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah, no, I was fine with it. I was fine with it, though. I like seeing nudity, you know what I mean? Like,
I was allowed to watch literally just about anything except The Exorcist.
Interesting.
Really?
Jeez.
So weird.
The only thing I wasn't allowed to watch growing up as a kid, which I thought was kind of funny, was actually South Park.
Really?
Yeah, there was a night where Steve had a friend over and they were about to watch South Park, and our mom pulled me out of the room. She's like, "You can't watch that. You're too young."
Wow. Holy crap. Yeah, I never had a problem with South Park either. Yeah. And I remember my friend's mom took me and a bunch of our friends to see the South Park movie.
He wouldn't let me see the South Park movie either.
Really?
He let me watch every episode of South Park, but not the South Park movie.
That's weird.
But when did that come out?
That is really weird, because that was a musical.
Yeah, I think that came out in 98 or 2001 or something like that.
Yeah.
If it was 98, I was 8 years old, so that's probably
so
why.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that would make sense.
99.
Oh, 99. Okay.
99, yeah.
But I still haven't seen it to this day. And
oh, it's so good.
The year of the Sega Dreamcast, by the way.
I need to watch it.
Fun fact.
I didn't have
Do you remember the Sega Dreamcast?
Yeah, but I didn't have it.
Oh my god, that thing was amazing.
I was deprived as a child with Sega. It was really sad.
So then Bart takes over. I've never seen The Outer Limits, but they do like a voice module thing where you can like see his voice bouncing up, and I really love where Homer comes on. And he's like, "Oh, I can see my voice," and he kind of does this sing-songy thing where he's like, "I can see my voice on TV.
This is the sound of my voice on TV."
I really love that. That's great.
Dad.
Did you guys ever watch The Outer Limits?
Nope.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Way back when. I watched a few episodes on television, but I remember my parents renting some of the I guess it was like longer Outer Limit episodes that were like films almost, and my parents would rent them. But that was
interesting.
For Blockbuster, yeah, for forever and ever ago.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I've never seen it. I've heard of it. I really like that intro. It's kind of fun because Homer is being Homer. And then we cut to our cemetery scene, where we get the tombstones. The first one reads, "Amusing Tombstones," which followed by R.I.P. And then something that I found a little shocking that they actually kind of...
Well, this is dead. The amusing tombstones will be dead after this one. That's why they rest in peace.
Well, not this. The tombstone bit wasn't really shocking. It's the fact that they had Moe's body drop down from a tree.
Yeah.
From a news... And I thought that was really... I don't know, to me, that seems really inappropriate. I know it's a horror episode. It's Treehouse of Horror. I don't know.
We really haven't gotten to Moe's suicidal tendencies yet.
No, and I don't know. To me, it shocked me to see this, and maybe I don't know. Like, it's just it was weird. His eyes do open, so he's not like dead. He's undead, I guess.
Right. He's still there's something going on with him. But it's interesting. This was allowed back then. Today, I'm sure they wouldn't have that on television.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
There was a scene of The Office that was cut, where there's a hanging that occurs.
Interesting.
I think it included Michael Scott or something. I can't remember now. But there was a scene where it included something like that, and it was on television, but now they've cut it out completely. You can't even see it streaming. It's gone.
Interesting.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that's a very sensitive thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
See, we're all desensitized to violence now. We don't care.
Yeah. It is very
Kids these days can't handle this crap.
No, of course not. No. We were tough kids, apparently, because I was able to watch all this stupid crap.
Yep.
So now we get Reverend Lovejoy is burning Selma and Patty at the stake because they're dressed like witches. And I love how the fact that he starts the fire and then Patty and Selma take their cigarettes and start their cigarettes with the fire that's burning them. That's great. I love that. Because they're like, we don't care. Whatever.
Yeah, it's a nice touch.
Yeah. And then Skinner is on a guillotine. And we see Edna Krabappel, Willie the groundskeeper, and Chief Wiggum's heads already in a basket. And Bart comes up and he stomps their heads further into the basket to make room for Skinner's head. And he chops off Skinner's head. And then finally, we get a couch gag where the the reanimated but poorly assembled bodies of the Simpsons family amble into the living room, sit on the couch, and exchange heads. Which we've actually seen, I think we've seen as a couch gag where they're alive and they switch heads.
Yep. Yeah, so this is the first time seeing them do the head switching gag, but they weren't Frankenstein's.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty good couch gag.
I thought that was kind of neat. That was interesting.
Yeah.
And then there was like, it looked like Homer had little tiny arms, unless I...
Yeah, that was probably Maggie's arms attached to his body.
Yeah, they were like on the front. They looked like, like little arm boobies. It was weird.
I'll have to rewatch that. I mean, everyone had different body parts of all the Simpsons characters, so that would definitely not surprise me.
Remember when the alien queen on Aliens had the little arms sticking out of her chest? That's what it looked like. That's exactly what it looked like.
Oh,
okay.
Heather wouldn't remember that because she's never seen Aliens. By the way, how dare you?
Okay.
All right, so let's open it up with our very first section of Treehouse of Horror 5 with the shinning. And we don't want to say the other word because we don't want to get sued. Actually, I feel like we're fine now.
Yeah.
But this is a parody of the movie The Shining, which I'm hoping either everyone's has seen the movie with Jack Nicholson and or has read the Stephen King book, or both.
I haven't read the book, but I've seen the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, we've watched the film before. It's been quite a while, but we've seen the film.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. It's not one of my favorites or anything, but I enjoyed that film.
I heard that Stephen King hated it.
Yes, he did.
Yes,
he
yes, he
that
did.
version. Yeah.
That's sort
Aren't
of
they
sad.
aren't they doing a remake of The Shining, or is that something I just made up?
No, they did Dr. Sleep as a sequel.
Yeah, I remember Dr. Sleep. There was also a made-for-TV movie of The Shining, if I remember correctly. But I feel like I also heard them remaking that film, but
Okay.
I feel like you should just leave it at the Stanley Kubrick version. Why make any... I don't know. That's ridiculous.
It's because people ran out of ideas. They were remaking Firestarter, and it looks horrible.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So they just got to stop touching old IP and just leave old movies as it is.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's Tuesday, and the Simpsons are driving. I love the over-the-head shot, just like the beginning of The Shining. And Homer says, it's been a long trip, and they are almost there, and Marge asks if they remember to lock the front door. And Homer says, "Doe."
God, when I leave for work, I'm always like, did I lock the house? And I live 5 minutes away.
Oh, I do that after I leave. I lock up at work all the time, and I'm like, halfway down the road, I turn around, I'm like, yeah, I better go make sure I locked up the shop. But I mean, you guys just went on a nice long road trip. Was there any point where you got to Georgia and were like, oh crap, did we forget to lock the front door?
No, not even once. But I would imagine it's because we knew somebody was coming to our house to check on it.
Okay.
Yeah, so we weren't too concerned about it. But yeah, I mean, what I always get concerned with, not necessarily something like that, but what did I leave behind? In terms of like, did I bring the proper jacket for where we're going to go? Am I going to be warm enough? That kind of a thing.
Oh, I never worry about that. I got like 25 bags packed.
Yeah, Heather packed as if we were going on a month-long cruise.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I went on a 2-week cruise and I only brought a suitcase, so I mean.
Oh, that's not Heather at all. Heather had at least like 4 bags.
I think it was 4 suitcases.
Oh my God.
Plus like 3 or 4 backpack. Oh, it's insane.
You should have seen us carrying all this stuff up on the first night on our trip. Heather wanted to bring everything. I mean, everything.
Well, I remember watching the video of you guys leaving, and like, Chris, you were just like, why do we need all this?
Well, that was a very good question, wasn't it? Heather, why do we need all that stuff?
Just in case,
Yeah,
because
of
it's
course.
springtime and we don't know if it's going to be hot or cold. in
That
the
is
south.
true. I will give you that, Heather. That's a good point. It is spring.
People probably thought we were moving
Probably.
when we were packing the car up.
Oh, it's crazy.
All right, now it's Wednesday, and Homer says, well, it's been 2 long trips, and we're finally almost there. And Marge asks Homer, did you remember to lock the back door? Don't! So, yeah, I mean, another, God. He must have went in the front door to lock it, out the back door, ran around the house back to the car, and forgot to lock the back door. That's the only way that makes sense. Then we get a title card Thursday. And Lisa's like, I think we left Grandpa back at the gas station. And no one says a word. And Lisa's like, what about Grandpa?
Screw Grandpa, we're late.
Yeah.
We're like 3 days late at this point.
They looked almost dead.
Yes. I mean, if you had to drive back, See, we don't know where the Simpsons technically live, so I mean, they could have been 500 miles away from Colorado at the time and had to make 2 very long trips back, and they're like, you know what? Screw this. If anything else is going wrong, it's the end. Too bad.
But I like that the back door is more important than the grandfather. That's the best part.
Yes. Grandpa always gets left behind for something.
Screw Grandpa.
Yep. And so now we cut to the mansion, and Burns is like, oh goody, the sea monkeys I ordered have arrived. look at them converting caper. And Smith's like, sir, they're the new winter caretakers for the lodge. Yes, they work hard and they play hard.
Oh, I love that quote.
Oh, that's
no
great.
work and all play make Jack a dull boy.
Yep. Oh, we haven't gotten to that part yet. Jeez.
That's the quote, though.
I know. And so Mr. Burns starts giving them the tour of the house, kind of like, in The Shining when Jack Nicholson and his family get the tour of the house, and like, this house has quite a long and colorful history. It was built on an ancient Indian burial ground in the setting of satanic rituals, witch burnings, and 5 John Denver Christmas specials.
And I like that's the one that got, it made Homer shiver to his core when he heard about John Denver.
Yes.
Oh. But I like how as they're walking down, they see, piles of axes on the wall, and, it's definitely a death trap house.
Yes.
I don't know if I'd ever want to be a caretaker at a creepy mansion in the middle of nowhere where I could possibly get snowed in.
Was there an axe wall in the Shining film?
Ooh.
I think
that
so.
I don't know. Was
think
there?
So yeah.
It's been so long since I've seen the movie.
Yeah, I think there was, because there was like knights armor and stuff like that. There was like a whole wing of that. But yeah, I've never done it, but I feel like I've been to Colorado so many times. I feel like I should visit this Shining house, just to say that I've been there.
I wonder what they're doing with that. I wonder what the house is now, like today. Is it a
I
museum?
think it's actually there were a couple things. So I read online. Some of it's like they're Airbnb-ing it out. They're renting it. Like there's a few things that they're still, trying to do to keep it up and running.
Oh my God, they're Airbnb-ing it. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I think these celebrities, like they Airbnb. I remember I saw an article. They Airbnb'd Kevin McAllister's house from Home Alone.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I think I remember
I
reading
wonder what
about
the price
that.
tag on that is.
Yeah, I didn't see that per night, but yeah, the people that actually stayed there took pictures. The inside completely. I mean, they redid the entire inside of the house. Like it doesn't look like the movie. But to say that you stayed in that house, I like it. And so now we cut to the outside where we see a hedge maze, because every awesome hotel.
Steve, you skipped over the best part.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, with the elevator.
Oh, right. That's right. So they come to the elevator doors open, and blood comes rushing out. And Burns thought it was odd because usually the blood gets off at the second floor.
I love that line. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Great scene in the movie. I'm glad they incorporated it into this. I love the blood just pooling at the bottom of their feet. Like, this is an average day.
No big deal.
No big deal. I just think it's funny that Burns. I'm assuming Burns just owns this place, and he's a crazy old man that just has blood floating from floor to floor.
Well,
I kind of want to know how he gets it back on the elevator.
I like how they incorporate all these things from the film. The film is like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't remember the runtime.
Yeah.
Into this third. I don't know how long is the episode. 5.
It's like 7 minutes.
7 minutes. I like how they incorporate all these little things. It just has the feel of The Shining without being a full-blown film, a parody of The Shining. I think they do a pretty good job with that in these Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors.
They do, and I gotta give props to the writers on that one.
Yes.
And so now we cut to outside where they're at the hedge maze, and Willie's watering it, and Bart uses the chainsaw to cut his way out of the maze. Found a shortcut through your hedge maze.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's definitely a shortcut.
I feel like if I ever ran into a hedge maze, I think I'd want to do that just to do it.
Honestly, depending on how thick the hedge maze is, I would just walk through it. Screw the chainsaw. I'd go for some scrapes and just walk straight through the hedge maze.
But see, that's the best part about the title of our podcast, The Simpsons Did It. I could do that at a hedge maze and be like, The Simpsons did it. They did it first, so they told me I could do it in real life.
Yeah.
And so Willie's about to yell at Bart, but he thinks, thinking to himself, he's like, the family's going to go crazy and chop them all into haggis. And Bart's like, what? He's like, boy, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinning. You mean shining. You want to get sued? Now look, boy, if your dog goes gaga, just use that shin of yours to call me, and I'll come a-running. But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie's time.
Oh, God. Oh, the adult humor.
Yeah, I don't want to know what Willie's time is.
I'm actually very curious, but I also think I shouldn't be.
I mean,
well,
because...
there is a scene later on in this short story where I think it is Willie's time.
Yes.
Because I think he gets interrupted. So I think we do see a clip of it. But yeah, I love the fact that they... Now, is that something the Simpsons writers were like, well, we can't use The Shining?
I see, that's always been weird to me. It's obvious. I'm either thinking it's a joke or maybe copyright like they just couldn't do it they couldn't say the word for copyright infringement. That's the only thing I could think
but
of.
It's a parody.
Yeah, so it's fine line in the 90s. So
yeah.
So we cut back to the house and Mr. Burns is taking away all of Homer's favorite things. He's like, yes, by cutting off cable TV and the beer supply, I can ensure the honest winter's work out of these lowlifes. Smithers like, sir, did you ever stop to think that maybe it was doing that caused the previous caretakers to go insane and murder their families? Perhaps. Tell you what, we come back and everyone's slaughtered, I owe you a Coke.
So this isn't the first Treehouse of Horror episode where Burns and Smithers have wagered on a Coke. The episode where he takes Homer's brain and puts it into the robot. There's the same thing.
That's right.
So I love the callbacks to that. And also, as we get on, there's a scene in this episode that happens in every episode of this Treehouse of Horror, which we'll get to in a little bit. So now we cut to Lisa and Bart playing checkers, and Maggie is playing with her blocks, and she spells out the word red rum. Which obviously
that was awesome.
That was great. And Homer's trying to watch TV. And so Homer notices the cable is out and he's like, I'll have a drink. And then he goes to the fridge and there's nothing in there. And he's like, And Marge is like, I'm proud of you, Homer, for taking this quite well. And then Homer screams at them that he will kill them.
That's all it takes to make Homer go mad. No TV and no beer.
I mean, if I don't have cable, but if the power went out at my house, which it has a couple times, and I didn't have any beer, which I don't drink a lot of beer, I would just go to bed. I don't think I'd probably want to murder anybody.
You wouldn't murder your entire family? Are you crazy? Yeah. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't want to murder people if I didn't have beer and cable?
Unbelievable. That's crazy. That's crazy talk.
All right, what would make you guys go so mad that you'd slaughter your family? Like if it didn't exist anymore, like if you went somewhere at your house, like it didn't exist, you got wiped off the face of the planet, what would make you go so mad that you'd have to slaughter your family?
Funko Pops.
No, if like my hog fell off, I don't think I could go anymore. You know what I mean?
What?
Well, wouldn't you just want to not live anymore if that happened?
That's what I'm saying. I think it would just drive me crazy. But outside of that, like physical, like things I don't know. What would you say? Funko Pops wouldn't make me feel that way. Maybe I don't know, pornography. I don't know if I love pornography. What would you say, Heather?
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
nothing
a hard
would make.
question.
Like I don't know. I guess
that crazy.
But yeah, I don't think anything would make me go and kill my entire family.
See, if I bet if you ask Max, I bet he would say the internet. Like if the internet fell off the face of the earth, he would probably go mad and murder both of you.
That's a possibility, actually. You know what? That's actually a good answer. Yeah, if I lost the internet, because when I lose internet connection here, I am pretty close to killing everything.
He gets very upset.
Absolutely, yeah.
Without the internet.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't you just read a book?
I would say for Heather, it would be the television show New Girl. I think if that New Girl went away, then you would go around killing everybody.
Right now. Okay, that's the show of the moment.
Or, no, books. you couldn't read books anymore.
Yeah, I would have a hard time.
Yeah, you'd kill people over that, Heather.
All right.
Yeah, I have to agree with that internet answer. If there was no internet, I'd probably go crazy and want to kill people.
See, this almost makes, so if I was comparing anyone to a Simpsons character, that, Heather, you might almost have to be Lisa. Because I feel like if Lisa lost the ability to read books, she'd go completely mad.
Yeah, she would be the Homer in this situation.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Homer's like, don't worry about it. There's plenty of things he can do to keep himself occupied, which is true. They're caretaking this lodge. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of things he could do to occupy himself. And he's like, well, I might as well go out and check out the axe collection, which is great. The axes we saw earlier. And Lisa's like, Homer, are you going to kill us? And Marge is like, oh no. Lisa asks Marge if Homer's going to kill them. Marge is like, well, we're just going to have to wait and see. Oh, yeah. So now we get Homer sitting at the bar like Jack Torrance in The Shining. And Moe appears as his bartender. And he goes, so what'll it be, Homer? And Homer's like, Moe, give me a beer. Moe's like, no, not unless you kill your family. And Homer's like, why should I kill my family? They'd be much happier as ghosts. You don't look so happy. Moe's like, oh, I'm happy. I'm very happy. La 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 la. See? Now waste your family. I'll give you a beer. Oh god, I like that callback. It's great. Yeah. I like the fact that they chose Moe because he is a bartender. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. So now Marge decides to go looking for Homer. And she finds a typewriter, like in The Shining, and she's like, I wonder what Homer typed out. It'll show me a window into his madness. And all the paper says is, feeling fine. Which is great. And this is probably, like, my most favorite scene of any Simpsons episode ever. I use this line so much in my daily life. And there's a flash of lightning, and we see that the walls are covered in writing, and it goes, no TV, no beer, make Homer go crazy. And so Marge sees this, and she's like, this is less encouraging. Oh, actually, it's a little bit later that the scene is coming up. And, oh no, it's right here. Never mind. And so Homer, kicks down a door, and Marge screams, and Homer's like, so what do you think, Marge? All I need is a title. I was thinking along the lines of, no TV and no beer make Homer something. And Marge is like, go crazy? Don't mind if I do. And he starts making all sorts of weird noises. I love it. I use the no beer and no TV make Homer go something all the time. I love that line.
Don't mind if I do.
If I do. Blah, 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 blah. So Homer goes crazy. And Marge runs over to a baseball bat to get a baseball bat behind a glass case that reads "Break glass in case of spousal insanity," which is great. I believe in the movie Wendy gets a baseball bat, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Again, it's been so long since I've seen The Shining. And so then Marge swings the bat at Homer, while Homer asks Marge to give him the bat.
Give me the bat, Marge. Give me the bat. Give me the bat. Give me the bat. Bat.
Oh, God. And so Homer calls Marge a scaredy cat and makes a face. And as he turns, there's a mirror on the wall, and he sees his face, and he screams at himself because apparently his face freaks even him out. And he falls down the stairs, knocking him out. And so Marge decides to carry Homer, which that's a great feat of strength, I have to say, for Marge, to carry Homer like a sack into a pantry. And she's like, you're going to stay here until you're no longer insane. And then she stops at a shelf and sees some, I guess, spices. And she's like, oh, chili would be good for dinner.
Yeah. Well, they got to still take care of the family, so.
Yes.
Gotta eat.
Yep.
And so Homer wakes up and we see him eating all the food in the pantry because, he's locked in there. Obviously, no beer and no TV. That's something, but food, that's Homer's basically his third thing. And so Homer, starts eating all the food. Moe and some of the ghosts come in, knock on the door, and was like, Me and the other ghouls are concerned that the project isn't moving forward as they hoped. Cat murder now. Eating. And so Mo opens the door, and he, a mummy, a werewolf, Dracula, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, and Pinhead all drag Homer out of the pantry screaming.
That was
great. I didn't even notice Pinhead in that
You
little
didn't?
group.
Yeah.
No, I saw Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, he was the first one my eyes were drawn to, and I started like really quick just looking at all of them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a good rogues gallery that they pulled in for this episode.
I agree, yeah.
By the way, The Simpsons beat, I don't know who made Jason versus Freddy, but they beat them to the punch of having them in the same scene.
Oh, yeah, you're right, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, because this was 94.
Yep.
Yes.
That's fancy. Maybe that's where they got the idea to do Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, they're like, they've already been in the same universe. Might as well see where that plays out.
Yes.
And so Marge and the kids are eating dinner nervously when they cut to Homer chopping down a door with an axe, just like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. And Homer chops through the door and yells, "Here's Johnny," to an empty room. And this almost... Okay, so I have to say... So, Heather, I've been listening to your office orientation. It's very sad that it kind of stopped. But I was on the episode where Pam... puts Michael on hold before actually transferring the call over to Michael, because the first thing he says is always dumb and the second thing he says is always great.
Yes.
And it actually kind of reminded me of this. Homer chopping down the door saying, "Here's Johnny's," like, okay, that's a dumb thing to say. So here's the next thing I'm going to say when I go through the next door. And so Homer chops through another door and yells, "David Letterman!" And but it's just Grandpa. You know, Grandpa finally made it to the
Lodge.
Yeah,
I like seeing that. I like that they brought him back even for that minor scene, because it gives you an idea that, hey, he actually made it.
Yeah, but my question is, did he taxi or did he walk?
I got to imagine he taxied.
He had to have
or
taxied.
hitchhiked.
Yeah.
Or hitchhiked.
Yeah, and Grandpa's like, "Hi, I'm Grandpa." "Hi, David, I'm Grandpa." And so he chops through the final door. He's like, "I'm Mike Wallace. I'm Morty Schaefer. And I'm Matt Bradley. All of this and Andy Rooney tonight on 60 Minutes.
Oh my God, that is such a great gag.
Yep. And the family goes screaming.
Yeah.
And Homer's holding a stopwatch, just like the guys in 60 Minutes.
That's interesting.
Fantastic.
That's interesting because they went from Johnny Carson to David Letterman and then to 60 Minutes. I wonder at that time, was Jay Leno not on the air yet?
I don't think so.
Okay, so this is prior to Jay Leno. Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And so the family runs screaming. They run to the ham radio. And Marge is like, "Hello, police. This is Marge Simpson. My husband is on a murderous rampage. Over." And then we see Wiggum on the other line. "Oh, well, thank God that's over. I was worried there for a second." And then turns off the radio.
Oh, that's so good. God, Wiggum is such incompetence.
Well, he said Marge said it was over.
That's how you respond on walkie-talkies.
Yes, I know. So we also in this scene notice, kind of like we notice in a lot of Simpson episodes, that on the back wall we see wanted pictures of Fat Tony and Sideshow Bob in the police station. Two wanted felons in the Simpsons universe.
Yes. Interesting. They even cross over into the horror episode.
They do.
Yeah.
And as my brother would say, it's non-canon, but I like to think that the Treehouse of Horror episodes are definitely canon in the Simpsons
They're not
universe.
canon.
And so we see Bart, he's like, "Okay, I got to use my shinning." So he uses the shinning to call Willie, and we cut to Willie's shack, where we see bagpipe and painting of Scottish women on Willie's room.
Yeah.
Because, Scotsmen need their bagpipe and Scottish women painting. And he's also a landscaper, so, those guys need a little extra on their walls. And Willie says, "The little fat boy and his family are in trouble." And then he leaves his log cabin to go help. And I like how he throws his mini TV into the snow when he's on his way.
Yep.
But I like how there was apparently enough antenna, for Willie to get TV on a portable TV, but Homer could not get any antenna TV inside the cabin. It was like literally cable or nothing.
What's interesting to me is that he refers to Bart as the little fat boy. Is Bart known? I mean, is that a part of his character that he's fat? Because I never looked at him as a little fat boy.
Me neither.
Right? I thought that was just a weird wording.
There's a couple of episodes, I believe, in the future where they do make mention that he's like chubby.
Yep.
But up until this point, they've never really referred to him as fat.
Interesting.
Yep.
I mean, I would just say he has a really big head.
Yeah. A spiky-haired kid.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, they could have done a little bit more with that, but it's weird because even now, so season 33, there is actually an episode that discusses Bart's obesity. So
interesting.
A little bit early on for that, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty good, pretty interesting that Willie decided to call him Little Fat Boy.
Yeah.
Poor Bart.
Yeah, so Willie, gets into the lodge and he yells, for Homer to show him what he's got. And Homer comes around a corner and puts an axe into Willie's back. And that's great. I can't wait to see what else Willie has in store for the next 2 episodes. And Willie, as he falls to the ground, asks if that's the best Homer can do, and falls dead on the floor. So clearly, yes, that is the best Homer can do because he's murdered Willie. And this is a great joke from Marge where she goes, "I hope that rug was Scotch guarded." I didn't catch it at first. It kind of went over my head, and then I played it back in my head. I'm like, oh, because Willie's a Scotchman.
Yep.
That's great. I loved it. So then, Homer grabs another axe from the wall, and he's like, must kill the family. And the family runs outside. And so he's like, they run outside. They're starting to slow down. Lisa sees Willie's TV on the ground and holds it up to Homer as he's about to swing the axe at him. And Homer's like, television, teacher, mother, secret lover. Because as we all know, Homer loves his television. And so, he grabs it. He goes, urge to kill fading. And
fading.
Rising.
Because obviously the antenna is not the best.
Yeah.
Gone. Come, family.
Yeah, so Homer asks the family to gather around him to bask in television's warm, glowing, warming glow. And so it cuts to black for a second. We come back, and now the Simpsons are frozen as a family, and the Tony Awards come on. And Homer's like, urge to kill rising, and the episode ends. Now, granted, I'm pretty sure they're probably dead at this point anyways, because they are frozen.
Well, we
ice.
We had the whole, Jack Torrance, frozen, walking through the snow, wielding an axe. So I feel like I almost wish they would have done that with Homer, trudging through the snow with the axe, him getting frozen like that. But I think this definitely ended a little bit better.
Yeah. So that is the first short story of Treehouse of Horror number 5. The second one is called Time and Punishment, which is a play on crime and punishment. And this short story was inspired by the time-traveling short story A Sound of Thunder by Ray Bradbury.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
I've never read this short story. I know who Ray Bradbury is. I think I've read one of his books.
So if you guys haven't seen it, I think it was a mid-2000 movie called Sound of Thunder. It had, I think it was Bruce Willis in it.
Okay.
And he travels back in time, and basically it's kind of weird, like he is running like a class, time travel. They go back in time, and they basically say, stay on this path. Don't go off this path, because you could change the future. And one of the kids goes off the path, steps on something, and it's just something small, but then they go back to the future and shit's changed.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen that movie, go watch it. It's kind of a cool sci-fi movie.
Ray
If
Bradbury.
if you don't want to read books.
Ray Bradbury, isn't he the guy behind Star Trek?
That I
no.
don't know.
No,
I'm not a big Star Trek guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought he was the guy behind Star Trek, but maybe I'm wrong by that. It just sounds familiar to me. I don't know why. Am I wrong about that? Heather's looking it up on Google right now.
Well, while Heather does
We'll
that,
figure it out.
He did
yeah.
not.
No, okay. I'm wrong.
He partially influenced a lot of science fiction type stuff.
Gotcha.
is what it
Okay.
sounds
Gotcha.
like.
Gotcha.
All right, so
So we start the episode. Also, this episode kind of reminds me of Back to the Future a little bit, with the changing of stuff. And so we see Homer and the kids sitting down, and Homer goes, Marge, I've had my share of troubles, but sitting here now with you and the kids in our cozy home in this beautiful free country, it just makes me feel that I'm a really lucky guy. And Lisa's like, Dad, your Homer is jammed in the toaster.
you mean your hand?
What did I say?
Your Homer?
Well,
Part of him is anyway.
yeah, your hand is jammed in the toaster. How did he get his hand jammed in the toaster?
He was reaching for his toast
Okay, that's fair.
while it
Homer-
was still cooking. Don't you want your toast really fast and hot? That's how you get it. You reach your hand in the toaster.
That seems like a terrible idea.
Well, Homer's very smart. So.
Yeah. So Homer, starts running around the kitchen, screaming and banging the toaster on things, trying to get it off. And he falls to the floor, and he gets it, and he thinks he gets it off, only for Bart to tell Homer that his hand is back stuck in the toaster. So this toaster really likes Homer's hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Homer takes the toaster into the garage to fix it. And as we all know, Homer is great at fixing things. He only uses a hammer and a drill to, fix
the
things.
camera.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, this shouldn't be too hard to fix. I guess it was broken because he smashed it. And he's like, with the right tools, he can fix it. And then he just hits the toaster with a rock.
Yep.
And that opens up a panel to the toaster. And then Homer fixes the toaster. And he's like, it's better than new. And we see all like this gadgetry in it and like light tubes and all sorts of weird things.
Homer had a quick bout of genius.
Yes. So Homer is like, maybe I should take it for a test run or a test toast.
Test toast.
It's a toast. And so he ends up floating through a vortex accompanied by backward running clocks. And Homer's like, look at that. I'm the first non-Brazilian person to travel backwards through time. Which is that's a reference to the first a author, Carlos Castaneda, who wrote books while high.
Well, that's interesting.
Yes, he was on hallucinogens.
Okay.
And he wrote books on, I think it was time travel. I did do a little research on the guy, but not a lot.
Did he think he time traveled? Because that's what it makes
Probably.
it seem like.
Yeah, probably. He probably thought he time traveled because he was hallucinating. And then we get Mr. Peabody and Sherman from the Rocky and Bullwinkle show.
That was a great pull. I
loved
that
as a
pull.
kid. And Mr. Peabody, correction, Homer, you're the second. And Sherman's like, that's right, Mr. Peabody. Mr. Peabody, quiet you. Yeah, that's a great pull. I loved Rocky and Bullwinkle as a kid, and seeing Mr. Peabody and Sherman show up in The Simpsons is fantastic. And
Did you guys watch Rocky and Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I didn't
I did.
at all.
Oh.
I mean, I know what it is, but I never really
Yeah.
watched it or got into it.
No, never liked Peabody and Sherman. I know they made that really horrible kids movie.
oh, yeah, let's
little
not talk
while
about
ago,
that.
Was
But,
it bad?
uh,
Was it bad? Because it had the voice of the guy from Modern Family, who I really like. I never watched that film, and it wasn't because I didn't want to; it was because I forgot about it. But was it horrible?
Yeah, I mean, it's a kids animated. I mean, they made it for kids. I mean, a lot of old IP like that, you kind of try to make it for grown-ups because that's who it talks to, the people that watch the Rocky and Bullwinkle show in the 70s.
Right.
But when you have to make it for kids, because that's where all your money's going to come from, sometimes it gets a little lost in
Yeah.
in translation.
That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you can always watch it. I mean, some people like Let There Be Carnage, some people don't. So
I have still not seen Let There Be Carnage.
You referred to it the wrong way. It's the worst film ever made. I think that's what you meant.
Oh, come on. There's much worse movies made than Let There Be Carnage.
Name one.
Well, he's never seen it. He can't say.
Yeah.
Oh, you've never seen it?
No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, yeah, there's a lot of really bad movies, but that movie, oh, my
It
God.
wasn't as bad as you said.
Oh, it was horrible. You walked out of the film liking it. You're
Yeah,
like, oh, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm easily entertained. It doesn't take much.
see, that's the problem. I don't necessarily dislike movies because I can't make a movie, so I tend to go with the writers and directors. I mean, yeah, there's things I can disagree with about a movie, but overall, I like being entertained.
Yeah.
I won't shred a movie for necessarily being bad if I was entertained by it.
Yeah, I wasn't entertained by this film.
I was.
It was blasphemy. It was crap, and it was stupid.
Wow.
And remember when Cletus Cassidy said, "Let there be carnage"? He actually said the words. That pissed me off. You know what? You asked me earlier what would make me kill my entire family. Watching that film again and hearing that dumb, stupid ass line.
Oh, wait. So instead of things being taken away, it's the only movie left in existence.
Yeah, that exactly. The only movie left in existence and it played all the time. Yeah, I would murder outside of my family, I think, also. I would add everybody to that list.
There we go. So Homer's going back in time, and I love Homer's quote. He's like, I've gone back into the time when dinosaurs weren't just confined to zoos.
Oh, that's a great Jurassic Park reference.
So obviously, for those of you who don't know, Jurassic Park came out in '93, and over the last, God, it had to have been the last 4 episodes of The Simpsons, there's been a Jurassic Park reference.
Yeah.
Like, these writers are just doubling down on Jurassic Park right now.
Well, Itchy and Scratchy Land was basically, like, half of it was this one big love fest to Jurassic Park.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, obviously it's a hit film, and they're just milking that cash cow till it's over.
Which is, I believe this new one coming out, I believe is the last one.
It should be.
Thank goodness.
Well, of this trilogy, they'll most likely start another trilogy.
God.
Oh, please no.
There's so many.
Yeah.
Yep. And so Homer's like, okay, don't panic. Remember the advice your father gave you on your wedding day. And then we see him dressed in a tuxedo. And Homer's like, if you ever travel back in time, don't step on anything. Because even the tiniest change can alter the future in ways you can't imagine. And Homer's like, fine. As long as I stand perfectly still and don't touch anything, I won't destroy the future. And you see a prehistoric mosquito buzz up to Homer. Stupid bug, you go squish now. And he swats it and kills it.
Well, I want to know, like, whenever would your father tell you those words of advice? Like, why would you ever discuss, like, time travel? Like, why is that even a thing?
In a universe where there is time travel.
Yeah, okay.
On our wedding day, those were the exact words my dad said to me.
Really?
Yeah.
On our wedding day. He didn't say, what were you thinking?
No.
Or what are you about? Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, well, you've heard the whole thing where you kind of sit in your own space and be like, okay, well, in the future, if they've invented time travel, I'm going to go back to this moment in time and tell myself not to do that. And then you wait like 2 seconds to see if you show up. And then you're like, okay, time travel hasn't been invented yet.
See, I like Futurama's time travel because in Futurama, you can only move forward in time. So, like, you wouldn't be able to go back in time and then see yourself. You could only move forward in time.
That's a good way to keep that paradox.
Yeah, exactly. That's
exactly.
a good way of doing the laws of time travel.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so after the squishing the mosquito, Homer travels back to present day, and he sees his Homer eating family, and he thinks, nothing's changed.
He sees his Homer eating family.
Yes. Man, I'm turning into you now. Homer sees his family eating and thinks, oh, nothing's changed. And then an alarm goes off, and the floor kind of morphs into a TV, and Ned appears on it. And Homer asks, why is stupid Ned Flanders on TV? And Bart's like, don't you remember, Dad? Ned's the unquestionable lord and master of the universe.
Oh, I think that would be Homer's worst nightmare.
I think so, yeah.
That
Well,
would
he does
send him on the
scream.
rampage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, oh, there's a negative Nelly in Sector 2, and I'm going to have to freeze and prepare for read and education. And so we see Bart and Homer, or everyone go back, the house kind of lifts up on a flatbed, takes it off to Ned's Read and Education Center. And, the sign on it is Reed Education Center, where the elite meet to have their spirits broken.
Except I wouldn't really call Homer an elite.
No. I don't think anyone in Springfield's elite, except maybe like Ken Brockman and Krusty the Clown.
Yeah.
And so I like how everyone is dressed in Ned's clothes, because we got to, keep everyone
Reed Education.
Yep. And now Homer, is standing in line at the door for.
They have him smiling.
They have him sit in the chairs. It's like, okay, everyone sit back and let the hooks do their work. And we see them all smiling. God, that would just hurt my cheeks.
I do like the fact that Homer turns to the guy next to him. What are you smiling at?
Now, and then Ned's like, now in case all that smiling didn't cheer you up, there's one thing that never fails: a nice glass of warm milk, a little nap, and a total frontal lobotomy. And Mo walks up to Homer calmly. It's not so bad, Homer. They go in through your nose, and they let you keep a little piece of brain they cut out. Look. And then Mo's holding up his jar with this piece of brain in it, and he starts talking to it. It's like, oh, hello there. Who's that big man there? Who's that? Yeah, I mean, that's great. I mean, I don't think I'd ever want a frontal lobotomy, but
no.
Unless the world's gone completely mad and I just want to calm the fuck out, I guess maybe I do it.
That's what weed is for.
Yes. Unfortunately, in the state of Minnesota, it's not quite legal yet, so I guess I'll have to wait a little bit longer.
If you're living in a world where it's Flanders is running everything, maybe you would want that, so you wouldn't have to deal with that bullcrap.
That is true. It's true.
Yeah.
Feeling fine. And so, Marge and the kids have also been lobotomized. Now, I did think it was weird that when Marge and Lisa and Bart walk up, they're no longer wearing the Flanders getup.
Oh, they weren't.
Like
right.
They're back in regular clothes, which I thought was kind of weird. But if Flanders doesn't, maybe it's just for the Reed Education, they can go change back into your normal clothes.
Yeah.
But I did think that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then Homer runs away, and dogs start chasing him because Ned's like, "Get him!" And he's like, "I got something that could slow him down." And he pulls some wieners out of his pocket and says, "This will give me the energy I need to escape." And then he starts eating them instead of tossing them to the dogs.
It's like this. It's like the spinach from Popeye the Sailor Man.
Yeah,
that's what gave him his strength.
Except in Homer's case, it's wieners.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny because I love that gag because it's like, oh, he's gonna throw the hot dogs to the dogs because they'll stop the hounds and they'll stop and eat the wieners. No, he just eats them himself. Oh god! So Homer makes it back to the house and he uses the toaster to escape, and he goes back to the dinosaurs and he's like, "All right, I'm not going to touch a thing." And then a T-Rex attacks, and he runs away. And as he's running away, he's dodging things and not trying to touch anything.
Mustn't crush.
Touch.
And then he sits on the fish.
Yeah,
I wish I hadn't killed that fish.
Yeah, that's great. And so then he, transports or time travels back to a new universe. This time, everyone in it is very gigantic. They're just very, very big. And we get large Lisa and large Bart. They take the top off of the Simpsons house, which where do these giants live?
Yeah.
They're not living in the houses.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, look, it's a bug that looks like Homer. And then they try to squash him, and Homer escapes and travels back to the dinosaurs yet again. And this time, the T-Rex attacks again, but instead of running away, Homer sneezes on the T-Rex, which causes the T-Rex to get, I guess, a virus of some sort. And the T-Rex sneezes, and he kills all the dinosaurs. All the dinosaurs get sick.
Yeah, I love before how he travels back. He's like, oh, this is going to cost me.
They look like dominoes.
Yeah, they all fell over like dominoes. Yeah, that was awesome.
That's great. And so Homer arrives back in the present time, and now the house is very luxurious, and they're rich. And Lisa goes, "Are we taking the new Lexus to Aunt Patty and Selma's funeral today?" And Homer's like, fabulous house, well-behaved kids, Sisters-in-law dead? Luxury sedan? Woohoo! I hit the jackpot. Marge, dear, would you kindly pass me a donut? And Marge's like, donut? What's a donut? And Homer runs back to the time toaster screaming. Marge looks out the window and it's raining donuts. And Marge's like, it's raining again. Oh. Yeah, and Homer stayed for 2 more seconds. He would have loved it there. He would have learned
that he was in heaven.
So sad.
Yeah, poor Homer. And so Homer goes, time travels again, and he gets back to the house where Willie is waiting for him. And he's like, Homer, I can tell you how to get back to your time, but you have to do exactly as I say. And right before Willie can give him any instructions, he is once again killed by an axe, this time wielded by Maggie, where she says, "This is indeed a disturbing universe," and is voiced by none other than James Earl Jones.
Yes, I pointed that out to Heather. Did you notice that? Did you notice it before I mentioned it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I knew it wasn't Maggie.
Well, Maggie doesn't talk,
yeah.
so. And this is the second time James Earl Jones has voiced Maggie. He also voices her when she herself is an alien. I don't know if we've done that episode yet.
No, that's a Treehouse of Horror from I think that's a few years away. That's when they're on this. That's when they're on the set of Jerry Springer.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, this is the first time James Earl Jones has voiced Maggie. It's not the first time he's been a voice on The Simpsons, because there's also... Actually, no, it is, because there's also the episode where Bleeding Gums Murphy dies, and they do a whole thing with James Earl Jones characters.
Yep. Lion King and Darth Vader come back.
Yeah. And so now we get a montage of the house changing, because Homer's like traveling through time and changing time. So we get an igloo, the Flintstones house. I read somewhere that the next one was the first McDonald's.
Yeah, so we have one of those still in Minnesota, down in Apple Valley, that looks like the original McDonald's with the 2 arches.
Okay. So we get the first McDonald's / I'm going to call it a diner. The universe is underwater. A big shoe. A sphinx. A sphinx statue that looks like Bart was the last one.
That was that's Homer's just fucking around with the universe now. He's like, you know what? It's over. Who cares anymore? I'm never making it back. Yeah. And so then we cut to King and Kodos up in their ship, foolish earthlings, not knowing the effects of time travel. And then they, start laughing. And they've done this in every Treehouse of Horror episode, where they just cut to their ship and they're like foolish earthlings and just laugh. And we never know if this is just to buy time, because they didn't have enough time in the episode to make the cut, or if this was all just intended. And like that, it's just the weirdest thing. Sometimes with The Simpsons, when you see a character laughing, it's just to buy time for commercials or whatever it is. Like the episode just wasn't long enough, so they needed to buy time to make the episode long enough.
Yeah,
interesting. I never knew that.
Yep. And they've done it a few times with King and Kodos. But then in the middle of it, some of time traveling effect turns him into Peabody and Sherman again. and once again, Mr. Peabody to Sherman is quiet you. So it's good. I love the intro. So then we cut back to the Simpson house, and Homer's, out of breath. He's like, he's like, okay, I'm done with this. Whatever this is it. And Marge's like, good morning, dear. And Homer rushes in, grabs Marge, and he's like, what's my name? What color is the sky? What of donuts? What? For the love of God, tell me. And Marge's like, Homer, the sky is blue. Donuts are plentiful. Friday is TGIF night on ABC. What's gotten into you? I love that. I always love when The Simpsons call back to other TV stations that have things going on.
Yeah.
Because I remember TGIF.
Oh my God, TGIF! That was the time to be alive, man.
It was.
Oh my God, I used to love that.
Yep. Well, it's funny. Like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were always just like a party, because you had TGIF, you had Snick on Nickelodeon, and they had animation on Sunday.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
you're right.
like that. Just the weekend was always the best, and then the world got destroyed. Now you don't. And then streaming happened. They don't do that anymore.
Right, streaming changed everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now we sit and watch all the shows all at once, and then have to wait an entire year or more for the next season to come out.
And I'm sure they touch upon all this with Homer and watching TV, because watching TV obviously was a big part of the first part of this episode. So do they talk about that in future episodes about streaming and stuff? Is that something that comes up?
So far, no.
Interesting.
Oddly enough, I think it was like a few years after like even the iPhone came out, like quite a few years, that the Simpsons even got iPhones and smart tablets and stuff. So
interesting.
It's weird, and I always thought it'd be weird to introduce the Simpsons to technology since they've never had it.
Right.
I mean, obviously, being that it's season 33, you kind of have to make a change somewhere down the line.
Well, I think somewhere in like the teenage years of The Simpsons, there's an episode where Homer becomes kind of a blogger.
Yes. Yep.
And so like,
well, that was like the first time they ever got internet. Was that episode?
Yeah. So yeah, them introducing technology on The Simpsons, it takes them a while. I've noticed.
Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
They got to make sure the technology is sticking around before they include it in their show.
Well, I remember there was a Family Guy episode when they talked about what was the DVR service, like one of the first ones.
TiVo.
Oh, TiVo?
Yes, they talked about TiVo in Family Guy, and by the time I watched it, I was like, this is totally irrelevant.
Yeah. No, it's weird with anime. I mean, it's almost like to keep your show relevant and running as long as humanly possible, if you postpone certain aspects, you can eventually introduce them.
Right.
Well, it's like watching older movies from even like the early 2000s where they like have flip phones, and it's like this has been out of date for like 20 years now.
Yep. Yeah. And so Homer's like, "Oh, nothing," and they sit down and eat. And Marge and the kids all have lizard tongues, and he's like, "Close enough."
Yeah.
Close enough.
Well, what they
Lizard tongue world.
They would think he's weird because he's not using his tongue,
He
right?
was eating with a fork.
That's what I mean. Wouldn't they point that out? Don't you think they would?
Well, it's weird because the table has silverware.
Right.
So
for everyone.
Maybe sometimes they use silverware. Sometimes tongue's good enough.
Let's just do the tongue thing. Screw it.
Yeah.
But what makes them decide to use the tongue, and what makes them decide to set the table with silverware if they're just going to use their tongue?
Maybe there's certain food that they use with the tongue. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe it's just routine for them to set the table with silverware, and then they're just like, gonna like. I would imagine trying to like eat soup with a tongue would be very difficult.
That would be messy.
Yeah, or cereal, like any kind of liquid. I think.
Well, like a dog, you lap it up, right?
But don't they know what they're making before they sit down?
Well, it's like Chinese food. Sometimes, so when stupid enough, I'll go to a Chinese restaurant, and I'll be like, I'll grab chopsticks, grab a fork, and then when I get home with it, I decide which one I want to use. Like, am I lazy tonight and I just want to scarf it down with a fork, or do I want to take time eating and use chopsticks?
Oh my god,
I can't use chopsticks. I'm not.
Me either.
I can't.
I can with sushi. I've never used them for anything else. But I don't eat sushi anymore, so it's irrelevant.
Yeah. No, I got so I don't know if you guys ever got Loot Crate back in the day. But one of the Loot Crate episodes actually came with those cheater chopsticks that are like connected together, but it was Freddy Krueger's gloves.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I still have those. They were dishwasher safe, so they never actually died out. They were metal. So if I'm feeling lazy and want to use cheater chopsticks, I still use those.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's badass.
And so, all right, so we're done with episode 2, or short story number 2. So now, final one, Nightmare Cafeteria. And this is a parody of Soylent Green, where people are now food.
Yeah,
that's a movie that I've always wanted to watch, and I never watched it. And I recognized in this episode that was sort of what they were referencing, because if you notice, at one point they have like the big pot of food and it's green.
Mm-hmm.
So I that's when I sort of made the connection. I'm like, oh, okay, I feel like I know where this is going. But
I kind of wish I would have watched this movie. Like, I just never. I've heard so many references.
Yeah,
like especially Futurama made this reference. Like, there's a lot of things like that were out there that I'm like, man, I really should watch. It's kind of okay. Good example, Game of Thrones. It was so big, it was being parodied on every TV show left and right. I'm like, fuck it, I gotta watch Game of Thrones, otherwise I'm never getting any of this shit.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
I never watched Game of Thrones, and I still watch the parody episodes.
Like, I just couldn't do it anymore. There were too many parodies. I'm like, I gotta know what's going on. I have to.
This was my favorite part of this episode, by the way. I like this part the most out of the first, out of all three.
Awesome. Thanks for ruining it. I was going to ask everyone at the end which one was their favorite.
Wow, way to go,
all
Chris.
right.
Oh, well, you know what? Your dissatisfaction sounds just like Heather every single night of the week, so we're good.
Yeah. At least no one's yawned yet, so we're good there. All right, so we open up on class, and the class is there before Edna gets in, and Bart wants everyone to turn their desks around because class clown. It's like, oh, we should turn our desks around. It'll freak the teacher out, and Bart's the only one that does it. I mean, it's funny. I feel like after I saw this episode, I did this with our class.
Really?
Yes. I feel like this was something that I wanted to do in school after I had seen this.
Never tried it.
Yeah, I mean, this was 94, so I was 11, so I would have been, I don't know, 7th, 8th grade. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
It would definitely make sense for me to want to do this.
Yeah.
And I would be the only, I was the class clown. I probably would have been the only one to do it. Everyone would be like, fuck you, we're not doing that. That's really dumb. And so Bart gets sent to detention because, hey, you tried to mess with the teacher, you get detention.
Yeah. And
so Bart stands at the door to the detention room, and you can see children have been crammed up against the glass of the door. And Principal Skinner's like, over here, Simpson. The detention room is dangerously overcrowded, so you'll be serving your time in the cafeteria. I mean, I kind of want to know what all these kids have been doing to get detention.
Yeah.
I mean, listening to Bart, yes.
Well, there was a time in high school where I remember this kid got sent to detention, and I don't know if anybody here has ever been sent to detention, but like they give you in high school, like they give you a slip to take to the principal's office, and the kid didn't realize this, but the teacher wrote as the reason he was getting sent to detention was the kid was stupid.
Oh my God.
Like it was a joke. Like the teacher was joking. Like we all knew it was a joke. But, like, the kid didn't realize that was what was written on the pink slip.
Oh, my God.
It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
Well, that would be great because you go down in history as being the kid sent to detention for being stupid. I think that's awesome.
So we see a child in that room. It's like, oxygen running out. Must be a small detention room.
Yeah.
And so Skinner's like, yes, you should have thought about that before you made that paper airplane.
So this kid was sent to detention for throwing a paper airplane?
Yeah, dude. I mean, look, depending on how strict your teachers are, I mean, they don't like you passing notes in class. They don't like you making paper airplanes. I mean, I don't know how your teachers were, Chris and Heather, in school, but I mean, some of our teachers are definitely no tolerance, no talking, no nothing. You have to listen.
Yeah, I mean, there's some teachers like that. Then you have the cool teachers who are obviously weed smoking hippies when they go home. But I mean, for the most part, yeah, you follow the rules. Luckily, I was a good kid in high school or in school in general. I never caused any trouble. I wasn't a class clown. I virtually did nothing wrong other than get horrible grades. Like how I actually passed and got through school, I still can't figure it out. I should have never graduated because I hated school so much. But I was just always a rule follower, and I imagine Heather was too, weren't you?
Yeah, except when I started skipping class in
Whoa.
10th grade. Yeah, that was the worst thing I had ever done.
Oh my God, breaking the rules, Heather. It's the new variant of Heather, breaking the rules, Heather. That's awesome.
The worst thing I ever did in school was I got sent to the principal's office for saying the word fuck in class. There was a kid behind me who would not leave me alone. I told him to fucking leave me alone. And the teacher, it was in geometry class. The teacher stopped. He was like, all right, who said that word? Nobody spoke up for like 2 minutes. And he's like, the teacher's like, I'm not doing anything. I finally like, screw this. I spoke up. And he sent me down, and the assistant principal's like, well, why are you here? I'm like, I swore in class. And she's like, just sit in the chair until the bell rings and leave. Like, she was like, why are you here?
Right. What stupid reason to go. Yeah, that's so dumb.
Yeah.
And so Bart goes into the cafeteria, squeezes in between Jimbo and another student. And Skinner's like, the overcrowding in detention is becoming critical. It's a powder keg waiting to go off in an explosion of unacceptable behavior. And Lunch Lady Doris like, don't bitch to me, boss man. Thanks to the latest budget cuts, I'm down to using grade F meat.
Grade F meat.
And we see her holding the tub, and it says grade F meat, mostly circus animals.
Yes.
Some filler.
Some filler, yeah.
Oh, school
Gross.
lunches, man. You never know what was in them.
But they were always delicious.
Yep.
Well, what's funny about that is that circus animals aren't even a thing anymore. That's something
that is true.
That's old, an old school sort of a thing that's dead now.
That's where they all went.
Right. There you go. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, you could say it was cruelty to animals, but I mean, lunch meat's probably the better answer.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and Skinner's like, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was some sort of common solution to both our problems? Yep, I think there is. Okay, Lunch Lady Doris starts walking by, and Jimbo trips her, and she jumps all the grade F meat on him. And Jimbo yells, oh, my favorite outfit's getting ruined.
Which is funny because it's his only outfit.
Yeah, it's his favorite one.
It's the only thing he ever wears.
Yup. And so Skinner goes over to yell at Jimbo and tastes the sauce that, Doris dropped on him, and asks Jimbo to assist Lunch Lady Doris in the kitchen instead.
Oh.
Yep. And Jimbo tells Skinner to bite him, and Skinner says, he might well be. And so Lunch Lady Doris, has Jimbo cleaning out, a pot, and she keeps pouring meat tenderizer all over him. And then puts the lid on the pot over his head. He's like, I can't work in the dark.
It's funny because we never see any of this happening. We only we see the door to the kitchen, but we never see this happening.
It's almost like the Bugs Bunny thing where, he's in, how the guy puts Bugs Bunny in the pot and he's a sauna. They're putting vegetables and stuff in.
Yeah.
And Bugs is completely oblivious to the fact that he's being cooked. Or maybe he isn't. I'm not. It kind of reminded me of that Looney Tunes aspect of it. Mm. And so then now the teachers are eating lunch, and Mrs. Cabrople's like, this sandwich tastes so young and impudent. Seymour, what's with the good grub? Well, perhaps I ought to let you folks in on a secret. You remember me telling Jimbo Jones that I'd make something of him one day? And the Kerbople gasped. She's like, are you saying you killed Jimbo, processed his carcass, and served him for lunch? And Skinner taps his nose, yep. He's like, and Kerbopple's like, ha!
So clearly they're okay with eating students.
Right, they're immediately accepting the fact that we're eating people now.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if it's good, it's good.
Well, I don't know about that, but okay.
So, but this reminds me of, I don't know if you guys listen to ska music or Real Big Fish, but there's a whole song about bashing vegetarians that they have, and one of the lines in that song is, "I'd eat people if it was legal."
Oh, jeez.
And this kind of reminded me of that.
Jeez.
That's dark.
Yes,
yeah.
Very dark. But if you ever get a chance, listen to that. It's one of the best songs about bashing vegetarians for, being vegetarians. Because meat's so much better. You don't win friends with salad. Okay, we'll move on. And so Bart is in line in the cafeteria, and Bart's like, I wonder where Jimbo is today. He should have beat me up for my lunch money an hour ago. And then Uter runs into the head of the line with his tray. He's like, Frau Lunch Lady, please to have another sloppy Jimbo? Das ist good, nein?
Sloppy Jimbo.
Everyone's completely oblivious to this.
Which is weird, because I've only ever heard it called Sloppy Joe.
Yeah. New name for it. And Skinner's like, now that's your third helping, young man. It's making you fat and soft. and tender. You just cut in line, didn't you? Report to detention, Ooter. For how long? Oh, about 7 minutes a pound should do it.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, it's so good. I love it. And so next up, you can imagine, is Oktoberfest, where they're eating German grub. And I like I love the Oktoberfest sign where you see the ulats over the K, the O, both E's, and the last T. Yeah. I mean, I don't know much German, but I don't think there's that many.
No, I don't think the umlauts go over all those letters. I think it's just a joke that they're like, oh yeah, in German words, there's always these umlauts over everything.
Yep. And so Lisa's like, Bart, does it strike you as odd that Ooter disappeared and suddenly they're serving us mysterious food called Ooterbraten? And Skinner's like, oh, relax, kids. I've got a gut feeling Ooter's around here somewhere. After all, isn't there a little Ooter in all of us? In fact, you might even say we just ate Ooter and he's in our stomachs right now. Well, scratch that last one.
Oh, God. That's so good.
Have you guys ever eaten anything that you didn't actually know what it was, and then someone told you what it was, and you're like, crap? Like, the only thing I could think of is if someone gave me like octopus, squid, something like that. They're like, oh, here's a tray of food, eat this. And I just was stupid enough not to ask what I'm eating, and then you realize what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The only time it's ever happened with me was with deer meat. Same. I think one time. Was it? Because here in Maryland, deer, I don't know how it is where you guys live, but deer is a kind of a hot commodity. Hunters go out, they they get a bunch of deer meat and stuff like that, and then people will pack they'll have sometimes a separate refrigerator and freezer for deer meat. And I've been over to people's homes where they're making stuff with deer meat, and they'll give me like beef jerky or something, and I'm thinking it's just beef jerky, and it's deer jerky.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I live in Wisconsin. They make holidays out of deer hunting. So.
Oh, okay.
yeah. I've had some venison just because of, I have friends who hunt, and every once in a while, if they actually get a deer. I know here in Wisconsin, getting deer has been a little bit harder over the last few years. I don't know if they've been overhunted or if they're just, the deer are getting smarter. So
they're wearing orange vests now, so they know not to shoot you.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I ate squid once without knowing what it was. And I really love calamari now, so.
Oh,
see, sometimes it's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a win-win. Yeah, I had a steak over my best friend's house one night. Like, her dad was just like, oh, we're having steak for dinner. I was like, man, I love steak. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we had steak. And then the next day I was like, hold on a second. Her dad hunts. So I went on AIM and I'm like, hey, was that steak we had last night deer? And she laughed and she was like, yeah. Like I'm an idiot for thinking it was anything else.
Yep.
But it was good.
You couldn't tell the difference because I can tell immediately. It's a little bit more gamey sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like I don't think I paid that much attention. I think I just ate dinner.
Right.
So Heather, if somebody served you humans, but they didn't tell you what it was, you would just eat it without thinking a second thought.
Of course she would. Heather eats everything.
I mean, if they called it steak, I guess. But if they're like, we're having human for dinner, then I might question it.
Yeah, question it. Okay, guys.
Oh yeah, question.
Of course, question it. She didn't say she's not eating it. She just questioned
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Well, when in Rome.
Right.
And so Lisa and Bart run home to tell Marge that they think the teachers are cooking kids in the school cafeteria. And Marge tells them, you're now 8 and 10 years old now. We can't be fighting all your battles for you.
I think that's a battle parents should be fighting.
Probably.
Yeah. Maybe. And Bart starts to say, but, and Marge's like, no buts. You go march back to your school and tell the adults not to eat you. I mean, okay, cool.
Don't eat me. Yeah, that's really gonna work. Oh,
maybe
God.
if you plead to their better side, I don't know. I feel like at this point, teachers just love the taste of student.
Yeah, probably. They got a taste for it. So now we see Edna is writing what their homework is on the chalkboard, and it's to eat a stick of butter.
Yep.
And we find out she's gained weight.
Right.
Yes. We have. Yeah, this is the part where like she looks bigger. When we see Skinner chasing after Bart, he looks bigger. So yeah, apparently eating children has a lot of calories.
Right.
And so the only remaining children that are not in permanent detention are Bart, Lisa, Milhouse, Wendell, and Ralph. Which I'm surprised Ralph wasn't put on permanent detention because he is a bigger kid.
Yeah, I was shocked at that.
Or already gone, for that matter.
Yeah. And so Edna says, because of all the children in detention, they have combined everyone into one class, which is why, because Lisa Lisa and Ralph are behind Bart, Milhouse, and Wendell.
Yep.
So that's a good I like that they actually explained why they're all in one class. And she's like, and asked if there were any objections. And Wendell is like, because Wendell's like a really nervous kid. So he's like shaking in his seat, and it's like shaking his desk, and his pencil falls to the floor. And Mrs. Krabappel's like, detention. Because even one little slate thing, you're gone. You're out of here.
Yeah. I want to know what the teachers plan on doing when all the students are gone.
Eating each other?
Yeah, eating each other is the next step, right? We're going to another school.
Yeah. The school's closed. Moving on to the next one.
I like the shot of the overhead shot of Wendell as he's walking out of the class. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a good shot. Yeah. So Mr. Krabappel is reading the book The Joy of Cooking Milhouse. And there's a picture of Milhouse's head on a platter. Or in a pot, sorry, on the book.
I feel like isn't that making fun of a book, The Joy of Cooking, or is it just The Joy of Cooking?
The Joy of Cooking, yeah.
Yeah, The Joy of Cooking by, it was a famous, what's her name? Oh, they made movies about her stuff. I can't remember her name.
Was it?
Julia Child?
Oh, yeah, Child. Yeah, Julia Child.
Yeah, Julia Child.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Yeah. How did she get that book so fast, Mrs. Krabappel? The Joy of Cooking Milhouse. And how big is that book? Is it like just a sentence?
Right, right.
So Milhouse suggests to Bart and Lisa that any one of them could be next, and so they should make a break for it, which is what they do. I'm surprised Ralph didn't go with them.
Ralph's like, dude, you're gonna get eaten. I'm staying. Yeah. I'm hedging my bets.
And so Bart stops at the door of the detention room to look inside. Now, they haven't eaten all the kids at this point because we see some kids in cages. They have like that hamster water bottle thing. And so Principal Skinner stops at Martin, who's struggling against the bars of his cage. And he goes, "Easy there, young man. You'll only make yourself tired and stringy. Now to check on the free-range children." And we go outside and we see the children running around in like a pig pen.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The free-range children. I love that. That's awesome.
I feel like that's what we kind of were growing up. We were free-range children because we were allowed to go anywhere we wanted.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. And so now we see Lunch Lady Doris coming out of the kitchen with a hand mixer and what appears to be blood all over her. And she starts chasing after the kids. And Willie comes down the hallway saying he will rescue them. And as he like passes by like another hallway, Skinner comes out and puts an axe in Willie's back. And Willie's like, "I'm bad at this." And thus concludes Willie getting murdered with an axe in all three stories.
Poor Willie.
I love that. I love that, like, that gag that they just have Willie die in all three by an axe. I love it. And so now Skinner and Lunch Lady Doris are chasing the kids into the kitchen. And Skinner to Bart is like, I'm going to enjoy devouring you, Bart Simpson. Yes, I believe I'll start, as you often suggest, by eating your shorts.
Right. So now he's eating cloth, which I thought was kind of interesting.
It's kind of like lettuce. It's a topping.
Right. Exactly. Right.
And so now I don't know where they are in the school. Now, granted, as we're about to learn in a few minutes, the setup to this story. So there's on like a suspended stage, and below them, I love how it's a Hamilton Beach student chopper. Did they get permission from Hamilton Beach? Now, granted, Beach is spelled B-E-C-H, and I think Hamilton Beach, the actual company, is like you go to a beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I guess it's a parody, so I guess they didn't have to ask for permission. And so Skinner changes, he goes over to the machine to turn on the Hamilton Beach, and the settings on the chopper include chop, pulverize, puree, and gooify.
Yeah, I want a blender with gooify on it.
So, fun fact, Chris asked me, he was like, what is that? Is that goify?
I did. I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Goify?
I was like, what's that, goify? I was like, I don't know what that means. Heather goes, gooify. Like, I'm a big idiot. I don't know how to read.
So, although I wonder if that's a made-up word or if that's actually in the dictionary.
I don't think gooify is in the dictionary, but I feel like people use that word.
Gooify.
Now I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goify.
Ever since The Simpsons, there's a lot of words that The Simpsons have made up that are now either in the dictionary or people just use in normal lexicon.
Yes.
It's
Yes, they are.
in Urban Dictionary.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Really quick, I just wanted to point out that Chris was wrong.
Oh.
That The Joy of Cooking is not by Julia Child. However, she learned to cook from The Joy of Cooking.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Who wrote it? Was it like Martha Stewart or something?
Someone named Irma something.
Oh, okay.
Irma.
Yeah.
Of course it's an Irma.
Irma S. Rombauer.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
The Simpsons, I'll tell you this, for doing it, we're on season 6 now. At least through now, there are so many archaic, like, pulls and things that we just don't know what the writers were thinking and why. Like, it's like, what age were you aiming for? Were you aiming for the people that grew up in the 60s and 70s? Or were you aiming for kids, or both? But, I mean, watching it as an adult, I'm definitely picking up on way more things than I did when I watched this in the 90s.
Yes.
So now we see Miss Hoover and Edna join Skinner and Lunch Lady Doris in trying to get the kids into the chopper. And Bart tells them not to worry because something always comes along to save us Simpsons kids. And then Milhouse tumbles and falls into the chopper. So, bye, Milhouse.
Yeah.
And then Bart says, I remain calm. There's something that'll save the two Simpson children. And then Bart and Lisa also fall into the chopper, and turns out Bart was having a nightmare and wakes up screaming.
Yeah.
And this is probably the most creepiest part of the whole thing. The entire family is just standing around Bart's bed watching him sleep. I mean, I don't know if most families do that to their kids.
Well,
but...
maybe they were.
Do you guys do that to Max?
No,
do you guys just
no.
randomly watch him sleep?
Of course not. But what I was thinking is maybe they're running upstairs to warn him of the fog that's about to come into the room.
Oh, maybe.
No,
It's possible.
I don't think they realized
Yeah, they
it.
did because they mentioned it.
They mentioned it, but I think they
Well, how would they know about it?
I think they mentioned it as if, like, it's a thing that occasionally happens, but they didn't know it was happening now.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
That's how I took it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Okay.
either they're creepily hanging over top of him, as
I
they
think
normally
they were.
would, or they were coming up to. I like to think that they were warning him about
I think they're creepy.
it. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe it's a little bit of both.
I mean, I
Maybe.
definitely don't watch my kids sleep, so. I mean, as a baby, I think I did, but as he's 4, but so I just let him sleep, and when he wakes up, he wakes up.
Yeah.
So now they tell him not. Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah.
Lost my train of thought.
He had a crazy dream.
Yep. So it turns out, Bart was having his nightmare, and with them standing around, he's like, "Oh, there's nothing to be afraid of, Bart, except for that fog that turns people inside out." And so now we see the fog start seeping into Bart's room because of the cheap weather stripping they obviously have on their house.
Yeah.
And the Simpsons get turned inside out.
Mm-hmm.
And the Inside Out Simpsons, first scream because, I mean, what else are you going to do when you're getting turned inside out? And they start singing a awesome song. And I have the lyrics right here for everyone. It's like, 1 chorus line of people dance until they make us stop. 2 many dancing people covered in blood, gore, and glop. Just 1 sniff of that fog and you're inside out. It's worse than that flesh-eating virus you've read about. Vital organs They're what we're dressed in. The family dog is eyeing Bart's intestine. And then a happy Halloween. I love the fact that Willie is in on this whole thing too.
I think I prefer Chris singing.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has ever said that until right now. But
You're welcome.
What I liked is that Lisa's hair is still like her star hair.
Yeah.
She's turned inside out. That was one thing I noticed. I'm assuming
so
Bart's
was
the same, right?
until she put her hat on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the big thing with the Simpsons is that whenever they show like skeletons of the Simpsons, Lisa's skull is spiky. Bart's hair is spiky. Obviously, Homer's bald. Marge, I don't think we've actually ever seen her skeleton, but that's always the thing. Is their hair the way it is, or is it their skull is the way it is?
Yeah, it's just their head. That's weird.
That song that Steve just sung is a parody of one from a chorus line, which we actually kind of heard in The Shinning at the end when they go to the Tony Awards.
Yes.
That was the song that they were singing there, too.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, that was great. And then at the very tail end, you see Santa's little helper coming in and start dragging Bart away as the credits roll.
And so the whole mysterious fog bit that turns people inside out is a reference to Oboler's, I don't know how to say his last name, The Dark, which is about a mysterious fog that turns people inside out. There are no recordings of the broadcast. This is kind of like an Orwell thing. But Oboler recorded a memorable remake for his 1962 stereo album, Drop Dead.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's kind of a Orwell thing. George Orwell.
That would freak people out if they all of a sudden a radio broadcast, just to let everyone know the aliens are done attacking us, but now there's a fog that's going to creep into your house and turn you inside out.
Yeah.
So as we come to a close, let's just quickly discuss our favorite bit. I guess we all know what Chris's is, but I mean mine. I absolutely love The Shinning. I mean that just the take on the Shining stuff. I'm a huge Stephen King fan, and just watching this again just makes me love it even more. And I don't know. I love the blood getting off at the second floor. I mean that's always so good. That's fantastic. And then I love the scene at the end with Homer and his family frozen in the ice, watching TV.
Yeah, I too really enjoy The Shinning. It's my favorite of the three. They're all really, really good. I enjoy them all. But yeah, The Shinning, no beer, no TV, make Homer something. I use that. It's such a good, they did such a good job of referencing The Shining. And it overall feels like a really, really, really good story.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I thought I was going to like it more, like the most out of all of them. But I ended up actually liking Cafeteria Nightmare. Or Nightmare Cafeteria.
Nightmare
There
Cafeteria.
we go. Yeah, that...
Wow, you're agreeing with me? This has never happened.
I'm not agreeing with you. I'm just choosing my favorite.
Unbelievable. Well, no, but I mean, we agree on that's the best one.
Yeah.
I did want to point out that I said earlier that it was Ray Bradbury was behind Star Trek, and I was wrong. It's another Barry. It's Gene Roddenberry. That's why I know. See, Heather? My mind works in mysterious ways. There was a Barry.
It was so wrong.
But that episode,
yes.
the episode with the cafeteria was the greatest episode. It was the darkest episode. And I also liked the German music that played when
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty great. Yeah.
What would only made it better if they had like beer steins at their table for their milk.
Yes.
Instead of cafeteria milk, it'd be beer steins full of milk.
Oh, that would have been amazing. Well, wow, missed opportunity.
Yeah, a little bit. All right, so one last thing I wanted to bring up, because obviously you guys are huge into Funko Pops. We're huge into Funko Pops. Obviously, a new line of Treehouse of Horror Simpson Funko Pops are dropping. But my question to everyone is, just of Treehouse of Horror 5, what character or situation would you like to see made into a Funko Pop? And I'll go first. I have two. One is I'd love to just get a Willy with an axe in his back.
I was going to say that.
I was going to say that also.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of them I love to see. The other one is I'd love to get a Moe holding his brain with the drooling
That'd
look.
be pretty cool.
That's a good one.
I would really like I guess it would be a TV moment, but the TV moment of The Simpsons frozen outside.
Yeah,
I think that would be really good. Other than that, I mean, they're coming out with probably my favorite Willy Pop to date, which is the 6-inch Spider Willy from the Freddy Krueger inspired one. So they're already kind of making my favorite pop.
Chris?
I would like a pack of all the characters Inside Out.
Oh!
Why did I have you go before me? Because that was my answer.
Well, I'm sorry.
Everybody's taking my answer.
Is that the one that you would have chosen?
Yeah, that is the
Really?
one I would have chosen.
Yeah, I think that was pretty. Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
I thought.
Oh,
that was
Funko!
really
But see,
good.
Funko would be assholes. They make them package them all individually and then have a 5-pack.
Oh,
Yeah.
But I
know
think
they
a
would.
5-pack would be amazing, and then they could
That-
drop it in black light, see, and then they could make more money off of them.
They could. They could do so much.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I have pretty much every Simpsons pop created except for 3. They did a glow-in-the-dark Jack-in-the-Box Homer and then 2 of the originals. I'm missing the original Marge and the original Bart.
Oh yeah, those are hard to get. The glow in the dark Homer in the Jack in the Box, we might have that.
I think we do.
Yeah, I think we have one of those. We'll have to connect with you about that.
Okay, cool.
He's really cool.
Yeah, I had like 2 of them, I think,
Yeah.
somewhere.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I don't know where they're at. Oh, well, because we buy so many to do giveaways and stuff. I always just sort of pack things away, and then I go through them when it's time to give shit away. So.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, let's close it off where we could find everyone. So, Chris and Heather, why don't you guys go first? I mean, I'm sure most of the people listening might know you, but for those of you that don't know who Chris and Heather and the Gastlecast is, why don't you let everyone know where they can find you?
You can find us on the internet.
Oh, good.
Great. That narrows it down so much.
I love when everybody always just rattles off everywhere you can find them. You can find
You
me
don't
at
have
my
to do
address. I have a mailbox. You can mail to my mailbox. So where can you find us? YouTube. We're called the Gastlecast. Starts with a G.
And Instagram at Gastlecast.
And then also we have a toy company called Mischief Toys, and you can go and check that out, mischieftoys.com. Additionally, on our Instagram for Mischief Toys, just look up Mischief Toys, and you can find out when new drops will occur.
Cool. So you can find us on Instagram, The Simpsons Did It Pod. You can head over to Twitter, Simpsons Did It PC. We have a donation website, buymeacoffee.com. Head over there. It's buymeacoffee.com/The Simpsons Did It. Buy us a duff or 2 or 3, and we will put all our money towards the channel and our podcast and giveaways and all fun sorts of stuff there. You can give us a phone call to our phone number all right, so you can give us a call, 612-584-0986. Listen to our awesome voicemail by voice actor Jaden LeBron, and then just let us know what you think of the podcast, what you'd like us to do in the future, things that you want to hear, change, comments, concerns. Just throw us a line on our phone number. So until next time, I'm Steven Skolansky.
And I'm Robert Skolansky.
And this has been The Simpsons Did It.
Shh.